For the first time in its 1400-year history, a woman will be leading the Church of England. Sarah Mullally has been named as the new Archbishop of Canterbury, the spiritual leader of some 85 million Anglicans worldwide. So we want to dig a little bit deeper into this. And so for reaction, we want to bring in Bishop Mary Irwin-Gibson. She is the Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Montreal. Thank you so much for making time for us today.
Good morning. Thank you.
So, of course, this is quite a development. The Church of England has just appointed its first female Archbishop of Canterbury. What went through your mind when you first heard that news?
It's an enormous task, and the Anglican Communion is far from united in its approaches. We have 165 countries in the Anglican Communion, and let's say that each part of the Anglican Church around the world is dealing with its own issues. And many of those issues are decolonization. So the church in Africa is not on the same page with the church in Canada or the church in the USA. And certainly the Church of England is actually not on the same page with everybody else either. So everybody's got their own issues to deal with. My feeling is that Sarah is a gifted, strong, focused bishop, a humble Christian who is going to be able to do quite a lot of good work. And she intends to lead as best as she can. She said this morning, "I intend to be a shepherd who enables everyone's ministry and vocation to flourish, whatever the tradition. And I will not always get everything right. Please pray for me as I pray for you." That's pretty good. I think she understands that the church doesn't always agree all the time. And across the Anglican Communion, the ordination of women, the ordination of women bishops, the blessing of same-sex marriages, same-sex marriages happening, all kinds of things. There are parts of Africa that don't even have any women in leadership at all. So people interpret the Bible in various ways, in a very literal sense sometimes, and in a more theoretical sense or different interpretations of the Bible. So you end up with people with many different views about what the church should be and do. And it's not easy to lead. I think her big job will be to address the safeguarding issues in the Church of England. And I think she's got lots of talent for that. She's been working in safeguarding for I think 26 years. And before that.
And Bishop, I wanted to ask you, you touched on part of this, the fact that there's not a general consensus when it comes to her appointment in this. It is historic, also controversial. You referenced her first address there, where she did talk about profound global uncertainty. The possibility of healing lies, she says, in the acts of kindness and love. I'm wondering what sort of challenges you believe lie ahead for her as she takes on this role, particularly in the vacancy also that she's filling.
Well, I would just observe that every Archbishop of Canterbury has been shredded by critics down through history, and therefore she can't help but be shredded at some point by somebody. So I think that building relationships across our barriers, across our suspicions, continuing to be in relationship, whether we agree all the time on something, that's really part of what the Anglican Communion is part of. We're not a church that walks in lockstep. She's not the boss of everybody. She's the head bishop of the Church of England. And the Anglican Church of Canada is a cousin, in a sense. We're part of the Communion. So is the Episcopal Church of the USA. So is the Church in Nigeria. Whether they all want to play nicely together is a different matter, and that's one challenge. But leading as the bishop in the Church of England and helping them come to a mind of how to go forward as a church, and also face their own decolonization, which is something that has to be happening. All of us need to be
You know, I finally
addressing.
wanted to ask you, though, Bishop, something about yourself, if that's all right. And that is
All right.
because this is the weekend that you will be actually retiring after 44 years of ministry. And that was also historic sort of recognition. So looking back, what stands out to you most in terms of the changes that we've seen involving the church?
Wow. Well, I was the third woman ordained in Montreal, and the first young married woman. During that time, I had my children and went on maternity leave and did various, was in charge of a couple of parishes and enjoyed that work very much. How has the church changed? Well, we need to be thinking about how we do things more clearly than we used to. It was sort of an automatic thing that there were certain tasks one filled and one went into a role and then one got moved to another role. And it wasn't really as confusing a time as it is now, when fewer people are going to church and different people are looking for God in new ways. And so the opportunities, we have to figure out how to speak to people in new ways and how to be attentive instead of just assuming they'll come and find us if they want us. And that's really a struggle, I think, with the model of how do we do church. And we're working on that.
Bishop Mary Irwin-Gibson, I want to thank you so much for your time and for joining us today to talk about this. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
That is, as I mentioned, Bishop Mary Irwin-Gibson of the Anglican Diocese of Montreal. Thanks for your time.